So good morning students, I am your Dr. Rajiv Shetty. So let's discuss important points on COVID-19. I'll be trying to cover this topic in a concise way so that it will be easy for you to solve MCQs in the exams. So let's start our discussion on COVID-19. The cases of pneumonia of unknown etiology was reported from Wuhan, China. So the whole outbreak started in China and the cases were related to this livestock market. So what has happened, so date wise sequence is also important. One is important, 31st December the cases of pneumonia of unknown etiology was reported to WHO. So what was those cases? If they ask, it is pneumonia of unknown etiology, means there is no other differential diagnosis. Next, on 7th January 2020, it was labeled as novel coronavirus because it was totally different from other coronavirus. So they labeled this virus as novel coronavirus. Next, 30th Jan, very important, the disease was labeled as public health emergency of international concern by WHO. On the same date, the first case was reported from our country. When was first case of COVID-19 reported in India? Answer is 30th Jan 2020. When WHO labeled COVID as public health emergency of international concern, same date. Then what has happened further? On 11th February, the disease was labeled as COVID-19. First it was labeled as novel coronavirus, then it was labeled as COVID-19, means coronavirus disease which started in December 2019. COVID, coronavirus disease 2019. And the same year 2020, 11th March, WHO labeled this disease as global pandemic where most of the continents were involved. So very important take home message from this slide is the date which is very important for us is 30th January. The first case was reported in our country. At the same time, the disease was labeled as public health emergency of international concern by WHO. So what is public health emergency of international concern? So this is a formal declaration always given by WHO, who will label a disease as PHEIC, public health emergency of international concern. Option A, B, C, D, CDC, WHO, India. Answer is WHO because it is public health emergency of international concern related to health. So what is this definition of this public health emergency of international concern? Means it is an event, extraordinary event posing public health risk through international spread, and that requires a coordinated international response, means all the countries should work together to bring down this disease, not just within the country. It is an event posing risk through international spread, and that requires a coordinated international response. So that is PHEIC, and it is also labeled as a serious, sudden, unusual, unexpected event. Serious, sudden, unusual and unexpected event carrying implications for public health beyond the affected state's national border. That is what I am telling, the disease will cross national border and that requires an international action. So this is decided by which committee? A disease to be labeled as public health emergency of international concern is decided by which committee? It is by International Health Regulation, IHR Emergency Committee of International Experts. IHR Emergency Committee will decide this. When was this committee framed? This committee was framed within WHO during SARS outbreak which happened in 2002-2003. So first question, who will declare this? WHO. Second question, whether it is able to control within the nation? No, we need a coordinated international action. Correct. Then who will decide within WHO? We have a committee, that is IHR Emergency Committee, International Health Regulation Emergency Committee. Good. Come to the next. Since 2009, we are having 6 declarations, means WHO has declared 6 events as public health emergency of international concern, one by one. 2009 swine flu pandemic, 2014 polio outbreak, 2014 Ebola outbreak in West Africa, important. 2015-16 Zika virus epidemic which happened in most of the countries starting from South America. 2018-20 Q Ebola epidemic and the recent COVID-19 pandemic. They can ask the question, all are public health emergency of international concerns as per WHO except they can give something else in the option A, B, C, D. So you have to remember there are 6 declarations as per WHO till now for public health emergency of international concern. Good. So the agent of COVID-19, it is SARS coronavirus 2. It's not just SARS coronavirus, it is SARS coronavirus 2. It is single-stranded RNA virus. If they ask what is the nature of this virus, single-stranded RNA virus. And the virus resembles SARS coronavirus. Yes, we had an outbreak in China long back in 2002 and 3. So the virus resembles that, and also it resembles MERS coronavirus, which was seen in Saudi in the year 2012. So SARS coronavirus 2 resembles 2 viruses. One is SARS coronavirus, outbreak in China, MERS coronavirus, outbreak in Saudi. Both will cause respiratory failure, and even COVID-19 is also causing acute respiratory failure. So the agent resembles 2 more viruses. Can anyone say this? Yes, good. SARS coronavirus and MERS coronavirus. Very good. Next, the reservoir of coronavirus 19, COVID-19. What is happening with coronavirus was the bat is the main natural host, and for MERS coronavirus the intermediate host is camel. For MERS coronavirus the intermediate host is camel. For SARS coronavirus the intermediate host is civet cat, and for COVID-19 the suspect intermediate host is pangolin. So bat will be the main reservoir, and there has to be an intermediate host. They will ask you to match the following: MERS coronavirus camel, good. SARS coronavirus civet cat, yes. COVID-19, that is SARS coronavirus 2 pangolin, and they act as an intermediate host, and then the virus will come to humans. This is how the human beings will suffer. The natural host, the reservoir, then there is an intermediate host, and the man will suffer. Regarding modes of transmission, how the agent transfers from one to one, like if I get from animal to man, that is the first thing what I have shown in the image. Then the problem starts when the agent transfers from man to man, then only there is a huge pandemic occurring in all the countries. So what are the modes of transmission from man to man? What are the modes of transmission from man to man? You'll be knowing this. One is respiratory droplets, yes. That droplets, yes, 1-to-1 means when you're coming in contact with the patient, direct contact, or else there are droplets sitting on the non-living objects, fomites. When you touch, then when you touch your mouth, eyes and nose, there is chance of invasion of the virus, then you will suffer. And also the small droplet nuclei, they can spread through air, and aerosol transmission is also seen. If they ask how it is transmitted from man to man, so one is droplets, second is droplet nuclei. Droplets, yes, direct contact with the patient, or through fomites you can get infection. So the same thing in the form of an image. See here, the infected individual, the patient, yes, coughing, sneezing, the droplets will come out. Droplets will be bigger in size. When you can see this, droplets will be bigger in size, more than 5 micrometer in diameter, and they travel very small distance, less than 1 meter distance. The size and the traveling distance, size more than 5 micrometer, bigger droplets, and they settle down, and the distance is very less than 1 meter. But the problem with droplet nuclei, see there, the size is very small, minute, chota hai, size is very small, and they travel for a longer distance, more than 1 meter distance. That is airborne transmission, that is through droplet nuclei. Or else you get direct contact with the patient, that is droplet. So one is droplet and the droplet nuclei, or else coming in contact with the patient, or through fomites. So these are the modes of transmission. Good. Next is incubation period, means if I'm exposed today, after how many days I will develop symptoms or clinical signs and symptoms. So it is different for different diseases. You should know what is for MERS and what is for SARS coronavirus, and compare this with COVID-19. So for COVID, it is 2 to 14 days. That is an average incubation period given in most of the textbooks. So it is 2 to 14 days, and comparatively for SARS, it is less, 2 to 7 days, and MERS also it is less, 5 to 6 days. Means what I want to say is the other two illness will have incubation period less than 1 week, but COVID can present even after 1 week. So because the maximum incubation is 14 days, Usually in the exam they'll ask you to compare COVID-19 with SARS and MERS. So I'm making a presentation of epidemiology of COVID with respect to COVID versus SARS versus MERS. That is a way to frame a question in the exam. So what is the basic reproduction rate of this illness? What is basic reproduction rate means? If there is one patient in the community, one patient on an average, he will infect how many other cases, means that is reproduction rate of that case. So that is indicating the communicability of that disease in the community. Like if there is one case, and if that one case can produce how many other cases in the community. Average infected people in the community produced by one case, that is basic reproductive rate. Higher the basic reproductive rate, more will be the community, and very difficult to transmit the disease, and we have to control the disease by proper rigorous control measures so that that disease is highly communicable. If it is highly communicable, transmissibility is very high. We have to produce more and more control measures also. So what is basic reproductive rate of COVID in India? It is around 2 to 2.5. It is around 2 to 2.5. SARS 3.5, MERS less than 1. So yes, communicability is almost near to SARS coronavirus. SARS is 3.5, but MERS is having less reproductive rate. MERS is having very less reproductive rate. So what is reproductive rate of COVID? Can anyone tell? Very good. 2 to 2.5, 2 to 2.5 for India. So the next is fatality is also very important. Virulence of the agent. The case fatality of COVID-19, it is ranging from 2 to 6%, and in the India value is around 3%. Yes, the value can change depending on the control measures we take, and we come to know how the disease will manifest. Progression slowly will reduce the fatality. At this point of time, an average of 2 to 3% can be taken for India. 2 to 3% can be taken for India. SARS 10%, MERS 30 to 35%. Underline that point. MERS, the case fatality is 30 to 35%. Compared to SARS and MERS, it is less virulent. But the problem is transmissibility is very high. That can be the reason why media is giving too much of attention for COVID-19. For SARS it is 10%, and for MERS it is 30 to 35%. Case fatality rate of MERS is very high, 30 to 35%. If they ask you to arrange in ascending order, COVID, SARS and MERS, COVID, SARS and MERS in ascending order. Good. So the next is the clinical features. The basic symptoms what COVID-19 usually presents with is fever and cough. Slowly it can progress to breathlessness, fatigue, and last respiratory failure. The most common symptom in most of the patients is fever. If they ask what is the most common clinical feature in COVID-19, the answer is fever. So the definition in whom we have to suspect COVID, the definition of suspect case is also important. A patient with acute respiratory illness, it is acute onset with breathlessness, and there is an history of travel. So there are two things initially: respiratory illness plus history of travel to any country reporting COVID cases in the past 14 days. So history of travel during 14 days just before the onset of respiratory illness. One definition of suspect case. And the second definition of suspect case is a patient having any acute respiratory illness, yes, and having an history of contact. So the first was history of travel. The second definition is history of contact with a confirmed case of COVID-19 in the past 14 days. The third definition is acute respiratory infection and requiring hospitalization. We have to suspect COVID. COVID. So how many definitions are there for suspect case? Tell me good. 1, 2 and 3. 1, history of travel. 2, contact. 3, hospitalization. In all these situations, the patients will present with acute respiratory illness. The confirmed case is, yes, lab confirmation using RT-PCR. A suspect case with lab confirmation using RT-PCR is taken as a confirmed case of COVID. So what is the diagnostic test? Diagnostic test, the swab used is nasopharyngeal or oropharyngeal secretions, and the test done is RT-PCR for confirmation. The test done is RT-PCR for confirmation. Good. So the next part is prevention and control. So preventive and social medicine is more important about the preventive measures taken and the control measures taken to prevent this pandemic. So what are the prevention and control measures taken? So one by one we'll discuss. One is isolation. So isolating is for the patient. So what will happen till when the patient should be isolated? So the guidelines, they keep on changing, and at this present point, so what are the guidelines for isolation? Till when the patient should be under isolation? 1, in symptomatic cases. In symptomatic cases, the patient will be under isolation for 10 days after the onset of symptoms. Underline the word 10 days after the onset of symptoms, and no fever in the last 3 days. So for the past 3 days there was no fever, and 10 days from the onset of symptoms and no fever in the last 3 days. That has to be a criteria. If there is fever yesterday, no, the patient should be kept under isolation. It is no fever since last 3 days, and it should be minimum 10 days after the onset of symptoms. Asymptomatic cases, it is for 10 days after the date of sampling. They will ask what is the isolation period for symptomatic cases and what is the isolation period for asymptomatic cases. Then when the patient, you want to stop isolation, you want the patient to come out of isolation, is testing required before coming out of isolation? As per the newer guidelines, testing is not required. Testing is not required before coming out of isolation. So what is about isolation? Can anyone tell? Good. For symptomatic cases, 10 days after the onset of symptoms and no fever in the last 3 days. Asymptomatic, 10 days after the date of sampling. And is there any requirement of RT-PCR before coming out of isolation? No. Answer is no, testing is required. At this present of the guidelines has been changing very frequently. At this point of time, I am recording the video in June 2021. So these are the guidelines for isolation. And the quarantine guideline is very simple. Quarantine stations where we observe the exposed, or you can say the contacts of the patients, will be under observation. Quarantine is for the exposed person to check and to keep him under observation for maximum incubation period. So what is the maximum incubation period for COVID? Answer is 14 days. Good. So first was isolation. Second, quarantine. So there is a newer concept called as reverse quarantine. What is the purpose of reverse quarantine in COVID? This term reverse quarantine was not used for any other disease just because of COVID. COVID is very, very big pandemic what we are suffering now. And what is the term reverse quarantine means? If they ask, listen, isolation is separating the disease during this period of communicability. The days has been discussed, 10 days for symptomatic cases from the day of symptoms with no fever for 3 days, and asymptomatic 10 days from the day of sampling. That was isolation period. Quarantine is for the exposed, observing maximum incubation period, and for COVID it is 14 days. Now the question is, what is reverse quarantine? Reverse quarantine is separating vulnerable population from the general population. What is separating vulnerable population? Like elderly individuals, pregnant, individuals with comorbidities, diabetes, hypertension. We have to separate them. Even though they are not having disease, they are considered as vulnerable population, not exposed. We are using the word vulnerable population, means they are the individuals with comorbidities. They are having highest risk for mortality. So mortality has to be reduced. So the question is, to reduce mortality, we are separating vulnerable population from the general public. So what is this procedure called as? It is reverse quarantine. Like if I'm saying a 58-year-old hypertensive is kept under separation since he is having comorbidities, so that I want to reduce mortality. What is this procedure called as? Answer is reverse quarantine. We have to take care of the vulnerable population. The purpose is to reduce mortality. Isolation quarantine is done to reduce transmission, but reverse quarantine is done to reduce mortality. The same image, see here, very nice image to summarize this. If this patient, we are separating him, that is isolation. Exposed individual, I am separating, that is quarantine. These are vulnerable individuals with comorbidities, I am separating them, that is reverse quarantine. So the general public will be these 1, 2, 3, and you are keeping out case, that is isolation. You are keeping out quarantine, that is exposed individual, quarantine, and the purpose of reverse quarantine is to reduce mortality. Good. Come to the next preventive measure. Hand hygiene is very important. Like if you touch, there is chance of transmission through fomites. So hand hygiene is also very important part in COVID management or prevention. One is hand rub using sanitizers. If you touch any surface, we are used to put 2-3 drops of sanitizer and hand rub. And the question was, what sort of sanitizers has to be used? Answer is alcohol based hand sanitizer. The composition should be minimum at least 60% ethanol or 70% isopropanol. So the question is, more than 60% ethanol is used in hand sanitizers for COVID prevention. Answer is correct. Second is hand washing. Hand washing is very important, cost effective method of preventing any communicable disease, since the transmission is through fomites. So hand washing duration at least 20 seconds minimum with soap and water. 1. Second, what are the movements of hand washing and what are the steps of hand washing? Movements of hand washing means when we have to wash our hands. Second, steps of hand washing. What are the different steps of hand washing? Let me discuss these two things important. One is movements of hand washing. The second is steps of hand washing. So first is movements of hand washing. As per WHO, there are 5 movements of hand washing. See this image, important. They'll ask this question. As per WHO, there are 5 moments of hand washing. Means very simple, like you are a health worker managing a patient. So when you should wash your hands? 1. Very simple, you start before touching the patient. Yes. Second, before doing any aseptic procedure. Third, after exposure to body fluids, or if there was any risk of exposure to body fluids, hand washing has to be done. Fourth, after touching the patient. Yes. Fifth, after touching the patient surroundings also. You have to be precautious. And what are the moments of hand washing means when we have to wash our hands? Tell me. Good. As per WHO, there are 5 moments of hand washing. Before touching a patient, before aseptic procedure, after exposure to body fluids, tell good, after touching the patient, and after touching patient's surroundings. Good. When I'm teaching this for you, you have to follow this and you have to repeat what I am saying. When I am asking questions, you have to answer within yourself. Yes sir, there are 5 moments. Yes sir, good. 1, before, like this. Slowly you have to involve with me so that the whole 60 minutes will be sitting with me and the topic is properly grasped by you. Absorption is more important. Good. Steps of hand washing. When we have to wash, that was moments. How we have to wash, it is steps. So initially we are rubbing our palms together, then come to back of the hands, dorsum, like that. One is rubbing the palms together, then coming to back of the hand, dorsum, then interlacing the fingers, then in between fingers, then you interlock Yes, fourth is interlocking, then fifth is thumb, sixth is rotation, rotating within the palm. So the mnemonic is PDF ITR, 6 steps. If they ask, P for palms, D for dorsum, F for fingers, I for interlocking, T for thumb, R for rotation. Palms, tell me good, palms, dorsum, fingers, interlocking, thumb and rotatory motion. These are steps of hand washing, 5 moments of hand washing and 6 steps of hand washing. 6 steps usually they will ask you to write in a sequence also. So it is PDF ITR, palms, dorsum, fingers, interlocking thumbs and rotation, steps of hand washing. The next is respiratory hygiene. First was hand hygiene. Since the transmission is through droplets, so respiratory hygiene is also very important. So we are using masks and respirators. So the question is, respirators are more important, respirators are more important. So what are the types of respirators and what is the efficiency? What are the types of respirators and what is the efficiency? So come to this classification table. Respiratory filtration efficiency according to American and European classification. American classification they use N95, N99 classification, and European classification uses phase filtration P's, that is FFPs. So filtering phase P's 1, 2, 3, filtering phase P's 1, 2, 3. One is N95 and N99. So American classification says N95 will have filtration efficiency of more than 95% and N99 more than 99%. So N99 is more than efficient compared to N95. Yes, good. FFP 1, 2, 3 they'll ask the filtration efficiency. Remember the number, it is 80%, 94% and 99%. Which is most efficient? FFP 1, 2, 3. If I am asking FFP 1, 2, 3 filtering phase P is which is most efficient? Yes, 3 is most efficient. What are the values? 80, 94, 99, 80, 94, 99. Like that the questions will be framed in the exam. So N95 is European classification, true or false? False. N95 is American classification system. So how it is classified in European classification system? Based on their filtration efficiency. Option A N95, N99. Option B FFP 1, 2, 3. Answer is FFP 1, 2, 3. These are types of masks and their filtration efficiencies. Classification wise, American and European. N95, N99 American classification. FFP 1, 2, 3 is European classification. Good. Come to the next thing after American and European classification. So these are the masks which many a times they won't ask you to identify, but still you should be knowing N95, N99. See the FFP2 and FFP3, FFP2 and FFP3 mask. Good. Come to the next thing. Most commonly used, usually what we are used to is N95 mask. Yes, good. Come to the next, social distancing. Since the transmission is through droplet, separation is also very important. Separation is also very important. WHO was advising 1 meter distance is enough, 3 feet. And the CDC says 2 meters, 6 feet distance is enough. Do gaj ki duri do, what we say, na? Good. So yes, 6 feet distance is most important. 6 feet distance of social distancing can prevent the transmission. Yes, it is having a role because you have seen that the distance of transmission of droplets and all. 6 feet is very good way to maintain a social distancing. Yes, come to the next is disinfection part. Virus, since go on sitting on the fomites and there is risk of transmission in direct contact, so disinfection using disinfectants is also important. So disinfecting tunnels are also available in different public facilities. So what we are using for floor, it is 1% sodium hypochlorite. Yes, again for disinfecting tunnels it is sodium hypochlorite. What is used in this? Sodium hypochlorite. Second, metallic surface, 70% alcohol. Metallic surface using like door handles, if they ask, it is 70% alcohol should be used. And you are checking the temperature of the patient. Thermometers are used. Equipments, what we have to use for disinfection? Answer is 70% ethanol. So sodium hypochlorites for disinfecting floors and tunnels. Metals and equipment, 70% alcohol is enough. Metals and equipment, 70% alcohol is enough. Good. Next, biosafety, very important. The virus, yes, when you are working with the virus, when you are working with the samples, what is the level of biosafety required? So one is non-propagative techniques, which involves viral sequencing, nucleic acid amplification testing, sampling and testing, it is BSL-2. But when you play with the virus isolation and culture, when you are playing with a real virus isolation and culture, that is propagative techniques, where you culture the virus and where you isolate the virus. For that we need biosafety level 3. This is as per WHO recommendation based on the feasibility, So non-propagative techniques like sequencing, BSL-2. But if I am playing with a real virus, propagative techniques, viral culture and isolation, I need biosafety level 3. Good. So the next part is biomedical waste management in COVID. So there are 3 things to be taken care of. 1, how to manage at isolation wards and hospitals. Second, if the patient is under home isolation, home care, what is the way of biomedical waste management? And sample collection centers, how they have to manage the biomedical waste. This is as per the newer guidelines very recently published specifically for COVID, revision 4th revision part, which was published very recently in around I think it's in March or April 2021. The biomedical waste management newer guidelines only for COVID specific management was passed. So it has 3 things: at isolation wards and hospitals, second, home care, third, sample collection centers. Let me discuss these 3 things in sequence. 1, isolation wards. We have to use a separate color coded bins. 1, double layered bags has to be used, not one, double layered bags. Disinfecting with 0.5% sodium hypochlorite. Inside the bag also we have to do disinfection, and outside also we have to spray 0.5% sodium hypochlorite. And the label has to be given, and the label is COVID-19 waste. These 4 things are basic principles: double layered bags, 0.5% sodium hypochlorite, label COVID-19, and we have to use a separate color coded bins. 1. Within hospitals, doctors, healthcare workers, they are using personal protective equipment, where we have to dispose that. 1. Used mask, head cover, shoe cover, disposable linen, which is non-plastic, has to go in yellow bag. Very important. Within hospitals, isolation wards, doctors or health workers, they are using used mask, head cover, shoe cover and disposable linen, which is non-plastic, has to go in yellow bag. Second, goggles, face shield, splash proof apron, hazmat suit and nitrile gloves, important. All this will go in red bag. So what I am asking is, as a doctor and a healthcare worker, personal protective equipment is important. So the question will come on PPE, where to dispose those PPEs. So 1 yellow bag, 2 red bag. Usually plastics will go in red bag, which is non-plastic will go in yellow bag. That is the basic funda of biomedical waste COVID management in healthcare workers within the hospitals. So come to second, the patient within isolation wards, they will be using mask, toiletries and tissue paper. Very important. They will be treated as biomedical waste now, and they will go in yellow bag. The feces, if it is collected in diapers, that will also go in yellow bag. Important newer guidelines. And if the feces are collected in bedpans, if the bedpan is used, disinfect with 0.5% sodium hypochlorite and rinsing. If it is collected in diapers, then it will go to yellow bag. Or else if it is in bedpan, it will be disinfected using what? Again, the disinfectant of choice is 0.5% sodium hypochlorite. So the question is, patient toiletries and tissue papers, yellow bag. Mask, yes, yellow bag. Feces, diapers, yellow bag. If it is in pan, disinfection is must. And the general waste like wrappers, food, juice, water bottles, cotton box of medicines, these are not biomedical waste. They will not go in yellow bag. They will go in black bag. Usually general waste will go in black bags, and these are treated as general waste only. So within the hospitals, note down: 1. Doctor or nurse health workers, what they are using, what are the bags, yellow and red. Patient, yellow bag. Third, general waste, black bag. There is no yellow bag for general waste. Come to home care. Home care 1, patient. Patient will be using mask, toiletries, if there is any swabs and tissue papers, yellow bag within house. And the caretaker, important, who is taking care of the patient, not infected, everything is fine. They are using mask and gloves usually. That will be collected in a paper bag, not biomedical waste. That will be collected in a paper bag and kept for 72 hours. And it is cut. The mask and gloves, usually the mask will be cut so that nobody else will use that when you are disposing it as a municipal waste. So the biomedical waste is the things related to patient. Mask, toiletries, swabs and tissue paper will go in yellow bag. And the general waste, the same wrappers, food, juice, water bottles will not be treated as biomedical waste. They will be taken as general waste. So the things related to patient, yes, yellow bag. Caretakers, not biomedical waste. General waste, it is not biomedical waste. Sample collection centers, yes, we use transport media, plastic vials, vacutainers, Eppendorf tubes, plastic cryo vials and pipettes. All this will go in red bags. All this will go in red bags. Important. So the biomedical waste for COVID specific management is 1, 2, 3. Hospitals or isolation wards. Second, home care. Third, sample collection center. Sample collection centers, important. Come to next, spill management. If there is a body fluid or a blood, just like any other spill management, we are using the same procedure by using a paper towel, absorbable paper or the blotting paper. And once you clean that, once you mop it, we have to dispose it into yellow bag. After mopping with a paper towel, absorbable paper or blotting paper, we have to use disinfectant. 1% sodium hypochlorite, important, disinfectant, and we have to keep that for 20 minutes for disinfection. Again, we have to mop it with a paper towel, absorbable paper and a blotting paper, and the same paper will go into yellow bag. So what is the basic funda? We are doing 2 times. One is first mopping the blood fluid, disposing into yellow bag. Second step, disinfection. Third step, again blotting, mopping, and the second time also the paper will go into yellow bag which was used for mopping up. So yes, how many times you are mopping? 2 times. In between, what you are doing? Disinfection. What is the disinfectant? Tell me. Good. Sodium hypochlorite. How many minutes of disinfection? Minimum 20 minutes. This is how we take care of spill management in COVID also. Come to the next important part, is COVID vaccines. So what are the vaccines which are used in India and what is their importance? So the types of vaccines for COVID, we have 4 types of vaccines overall. How it is divided? 1, viral vector vaccines, where you have a vector carrying the viral spike proteins, example Covishield and Sputnik. Inactivated or killed vaccines, Covaxin, important. mRNA vaccine, very important, Pfizer or Moderna vaccine. And protein subunit vaccine, Novavax. So out of these 2 things, the initial 2 things are being available in India. The last 2 things still not available. So can anyone tell 4 types of vaccines? Vector vaccines, killed vaccine, mRNA vaccine and protein subunit vaccine. They can ask you to name, and Covishield, Sputniks are important, and even Covaxin is also very important for us. So let me discuss one, Covaxin. See the image there, Covaxin from Bharat Biotech. So Covaxin is having 2 doses. It is a killed vaccine. So 2 doses. The gap is 4 to 6 weeks. At this point of time, the gap is 4 to 6 weeks for 2 doses of Covaxin. The efficacy is around 81%. Efficacy of Covaxin is taken as 81%. Covishield vaccine, very important vaccine. And the vector used to carry the viral spike protein is chimpanzee adenovirus OX1, CHAD OX1. Adenovirus is the vector carrying the viral spike protein, so it is a vector vaccine. What adenovirus is used, CHADOX1, the adenovirus affecting chimpanzees, that is the vector carrying the viral spike protein. The gap between two doses, again 2 doses for Covishield, the gap has been extended to 12 to 16 weeks. Initially it was 4 to 6 weeks, slowly they have extended it to 12 to 16 weeks. The efficacy ranges from 60 to 80%. The efficacy is always after 2 doses, not within 1 dose. Efficacy calculation is after 2 doses. It is around 60 to 80%. The average they take it as 70%. The average they take it as 70%. The first point, the cold chain temperature for storing and transporting 2 to 8 degree. Same as all the other vaccines, it is 2 to 8 degree. Good. Open vial policy, yes, not applicable because we don't have VVM for the vials which we have now. So since there is no vaccine vial monitor, open vial policy is not applicable. We can't use it in the further sessions at this point of time. In the future they can bring VVM and they can make it applicable. At this point of time it is not applicable. Adverse effects following immunization, AEFI, if there is something happening after vaccine, till what time you have to observe the patient. AEFI observation period is 30 minutes for Covishield and also Covaxin. And the contraindication, the absolute contraindication of vaccine is severe hypersensitivity. This is the only absolute contraindication of Covaxin and Covishield. Important points on Covaxin and Covishield, very important. So next, coming to Sputnik V vaccine, it is Sputnik V vaccine, not Sputnik Light. It is Sputnik V vaccine. We have one more vaccine called as Sputnik Light that is not yet adopted in India. We have got the stocks of Sputnik V and will be giving vaccines of Sputnik V in India in the further period. The age group more than 18 years. The age group more than 18 years. What is Sputnik V vaccine prepared from Russia? It is a viral vector vaccine based on 2 human adenovirus. Covishield was based on 1 adenovirus, but this is viral 2 vector vaccine, means 2 doses. We have 2 different adenovirus carrying the viral proteins. One is the recombinant adenovirus types 26 and 5 are used. So it is type 26 and type 5 recombinant adenovirus will act as vectors in the vaccine. So it is 1 vector vaccine? No, it is 2 vector vaccine. What is the vector used? Recombinant adenovirus. Types, tell me good. Type 26 and type 5. RE626, that is type 26 for first dose and type 5 for the second dose. So 2 different doses with 2 different vectors carrying the viral spike proteins. That is the basic difference from Sputnik and Covishield. Important. 0.5 ml intramuscular injections in the deltoid. The gap between 2 doses is 21 days in Russia. At this point of time in India, we have not decided what will be the gap between 2 doses. Usually it will be 21 days only. But since Russia has launched this vaccine, and in Russia it is 21 days of gap, and the efficacy is very good, around 90 to 91%. So efficacious, yes, because we are having 2 different virus, adenovirus recombinant type 26 and type 5 carrying one for different, the other for different. 2 doses, 2 different vectors carrying the viral spike protein. So again 2 doses, yes, gap 21 days in Russia. It will be decided in India also. The efficacy is around 91%. The efficacy is around 91%. Come to the next. If the patient is COVID positive, give vaccine 3 months after recovery. So if the patient is infected, when we have to give vaccine, usually for Covaxin and Covishield, these guidelines are made for Covaxin and Covishield because those are the vaccines used frequently in India. So if patient is COVID positive, when he has to take vaccine 3 months after recovery. If COVID patient received plasma or antibodies, again the same thing, take vaccine 3 months after discharge. Take vaccine 3 months after discharge. If infected after first dose of vaccine, first dose was given, COVID infection, then when we have to take second dose, give second dose 3 months after recovery. So the gap is 3 months. That is the keyword in these 3 points. 3 months after recovery, second dose. Lactation, give vaccine, pregnancy still under discussion. As per the newer guidelines published, yes, lactation, give vaccine, pregnancy still under discussion. No screening prior to vaccine. So we need to do RT-PCR screening prior to vaccine. No, false. No need of any screening prior to vaccine. So these are few frequently asked questions on Covaxin and Covishield vaccines. So what if the patient is COVID positive? What if he has received antibodies? What if he is infected after first dose? What is for lactation? Yes. Pregnancy still under discussion. That is a newer update. And no screening prior to vaccine important. Come to COVIN, COVID related vaccine intelligence network, what we call it as COVIN. EVIN is for other vaccines. What is the use of COVIN? COVIN, one is registering for vaccines, and yes, stock management, vaccines available left, like we are keeping a data of stock management. At the same time, cold chain temperature is also monitored. If they ask what are the functions of COVIN, basically three main functions: RST, registration, stock management, temperature monitoring. RST, registration, stock management, temperature monitoring. COVIN is only for COVID vaccines. EVIN is for all the vaccines. You'll be knowing what is EVIN. EVIN, Electronic Vaccine Intelligence Network, that is for all the vaccines used in the national schedule, but COVIN is only for COVID vaccines. What is this Kavach ELISA kit? It is an antibody detection kit used for serosurveillance. It is not for antigen, it is an antibody detection kit. It is used for serosurveillance, usually checking the levels of antibodies at community level, knowing what is the level of herd immunity we have achieved. And this was devised by Pune National Institute of Virology, Pune, NIVS in Pune, and this has devised a kit anti-SARS-CoV coronavirus 2 IgG antibody detection kit for serosurveillance. What is the use of Arogya Setu app? And it is from Ministry of Information and Technology. Contact tracing, syndrome mapping, and self-assessment. If they ask me purpose of Arogya Setu, 1, 2, 3, tell me good. Contact tracing, yes. Syndrome mapping, good. And self-assessment, what is your risk when you are living in the community. So it has 4 sections. 1, user status, telling the risk of getting COVID-19 for the user. What is your risk? How many are there around patients surrounding you, and what is your risk? Self-assessment by keeping the check of symptoms and your risk profile, that is for self-assessment. COVID-19 updates regarding national and local COVID-19 cases available in the country, and ePass integration. If I want to move from one place to another, there was a provision of ePass before, and you can avail ePass through Arogya Setu app. The purpose of app is mainly contact tracing. These 3 points are important, students. Good. Contact tracing, syndrome mapping, and self-assessment. Good. So let's discuss few questions on COVID-19 MCQs. COVID-19 was declared as public health emergency of international concern on which date? Tell me good. 30th Jan 2020. COVID-19 was declared as public health emergency of international concern on 30th January 2020. Who will declare this? Tell me good. WHO. How many PHEICs have been declared right now? Total 6. COVID-19 is also a public health emergency of international concern. Yes, correct. Second question. All are modes of transmission in COVID-19 except, means which is not a mode of transmission. Droplets, correct. Contact, correct. Fomites, correct. The answer is blood-borne transmission is not one of the route at this point of time. It is not transmitted through blood-borne route. Question number 3. Separating vulnerable population from the general public to reduce associated mortality and morbidity during COVID pandemic. So what is the keyword? Separating vulnerable population means individuals with comorbidities, elderly population, hypertensive, diabetes, to reduce associated mortality and morbidity. So it is reverse quarantine, important. Remember the slide shown in the image, like I showed, one for case isolation, one for exposed quarantine, one for vulnerable population, keeping them separate, that is reverse quarantine. In symptomatic cases, isolation is done until, so remember the slide of isolation. Yes, tell me good. In symptomatic cases I am asking, it is 10 days after the onset of symptoms and no fever in the last 3 days. This is for symptomatic cases. We do testing before stopping isolation? No. Testing is not required at this point of time. For asymptomatic, 10 days from the date of sampling. For asymptomatic, 10 days from the date of sampling. Good. Next question. Which of the following is true regarding filtering phase pieces regarding their efficiency? FFP1 filtration 80% correct. 2 84% correct. 3 99% correct. This is European classification of respirators. European classification of respirators. How many respirators are available? 3. 1, 2, 3. Tell me their efficiency. The same order: 80%, 84% and 99%. Which is true? Answer is everything is true. 6. Which of the following are movements of hand washing? Yes, there are 5 movements of hand washing. Before aseptic procedure, yes, done. After touching the patient, done. After touching patient surroundings, done. Answer is all of this. So out of 5 moments of hand washing, I have given 3 for you in the option. And since we do hand washing in all these moments, these are moments of hand washing, and the answer is all of this. Good. Come to 7th important. Biosafety levels required for virus isolation as per WHO means propagative techniques. We play with the virus isolation and culture. Biosafety level 3, BSL 3. For sequencing it is safety level 2, but for culture and isolation it is biosafety level 3. Which is used for disinfecting the contaminated surfaces, spill management in COVID wards. What is used for spill management? Like if there is a spill, you put a paper, then dispose it in yellow bag, then disinfection using 1% hypochlorite solution for 20 minutes. Again you mop, again you put it in yellow bag. The answer is 1% hypochlorite solution for disinfecting during spill management in COVID wards. Good. Come to the next. N95. N95 respirator means, what is N in N95? It is not resistant to oil. N means not resistant to oil and filters out 95% of the airborne particles. Yes, N95, the number 95 indicate filtration efficiency, filtering airborne particles to how much extent? 95%. What is the size of airborne particles? 0.3 plus micron size. What is N? N is not resistant to oil. If they give option not resistant to virus, no. Not permeable to virus and oil, no. Not easy to use, no. It is not resistant to oil, not resistant to oil and filtering out 95% of the airborne particles of size 0.3 plus micron. Which of the following are disinfectants used in COVID management? 1, 2, 3. 1% formaldehyde not used. 70% ethanol is used, yes, for equipments. Metallic surfaces, for equipments, metallic surfaces, 70% ethanol. 1% sodium hypochlorite, very important for floors and disinfection tunnels and spill management. Answer is 2, 3. Ethanol and sodium hypochlorites are used. Formaldehyde has no role of disinfection in COVID management. Kavach ELISA is indigenous IgG ELISA kits for antibody detection of COVID-19, prepared from National Institute of Virology, Pune. It is used for sero surveillance. If they ask antigen detection, no. Diagnostic method, no. Screening test, no. It is to detect antibody. IgG ELISA kit. Indigenously produced means within India. For which disease? COVID-19. This is IgG ELISA kit, that is Kavach ELISA kit. Match the following for vaccines and the type of vaccine. Viral vector vaccine, it is Sputnik. Done. 2 viral vector vaccine, Sputnik. Killed vaccine, Covaxin. Yes, then it means A2B1, A2B1C3. mRNA is Pfizer. A2B1C3 important. This is how they frame question. Match the following. Not that directly asking what is this, what is this. That will become a very easy question. We have to give the way to interpret the question for the students. They should know types of vaccines. At the same time, they have to use their brains. Patience is important to match the following questions. Good. 13th question. Which of the following is or true for the image? So multiple true statements. Multiple true statements. See the vaccine, it is Covishield. Recommended age less than 18 years? No. More than 18 years. Viral vector vaccine? Correct. One vector. Chimpanzee adenovirus? Yes. Open vial policy not applicable? Correct. There is no vaccine vial monitor, so we can't use in the subsequent sessions. Gap between two doses now at this point of time is 12 to 16 weeks. They can update it in the future, but at this point of time, June 2021, I am recording the video, and the gap between two doses of Covishield is 12 to 16 weeks. Good. 14th question. Temperature for storage of Covishield vaccines. Cold chain temperature is more than sufficient to store these vaccines, so it is very good, so that same temperature for all the other vaccines also. So at ground level feasibility is very good for storing Covishield and Covaxins 2 to 8 degree. If the patient is COVID positive, when to give the vaccine? 3 months. Give vaccine 3 months after recovery. Give vaccines 3 months after recovery. The recombinant adenovirus type 26 and type 5 are both used as vectors in which vaccine? So it is 2 viral vector vaccine, that is Sputnik V, 2 doses with 2 different types of vectors used in 2 different doses for carrying the viral spike protein. Sputnik V is also viral vector vaccine. It is not one viral vector, it is 2 viral vector vaccine. Disinfection of thermometers used to check temperature of COVID patients is done by 70% ethanol. Important. Disinfection of equipments used in COVID management and even in metallic surfaces, it is 70% ethanol. Which of the following is or disposed in yellow bag during COVID management? So multiple true statements. Mask, yes, yellow bag. Head covers, yellow bag, correct. Goggle, red bag. Face shield, red bag. Answer is A, B. Remaining C and D in red bag. Which of the following is or disposed in red bag during COVID management? One more question on red bag. Nitrile gloves, yes. Vacutainers, yes. Pipette tips, yes. Answer is all of this. Important question. Gloves, yes. Vacutainers and pipette tips at sample collection centers should also be disposed in red bag. Toiletries and tissue papers used by COVID patients in isolation wards are disposed as biomedical waste, infectious waste and yellow bag. Important question. This is one more specific guidelines related to COVID-19 biomedical waste management. Good. So again, come to the last slide. Thank you so much for watching this video. And if you have any doubts and if you need some updates, join my Facebook group, Shetty's PSM in Facebook. You can go to Facebook and you can type this Shetty's PSM. It's a group, Facebook group, and you can get all the updates of PSM in this group. At the same time, you can use Facebook Messenger to message me any doubts or any queries if you want. And the WhatsApp number also I am giving for doubt clearance. You can use this number and you can WhatsApp me your queries. So again, if you want, you can see the video and pause the video and make a note of all the points discussed. I have tried to cover all the important points at MCQ level. I am telling at MCQ level for your next exams, for entrance exams, in a concise way, so that not everything is important for MCQ exams. You should know most important things and how to differentiate between 2-3 different things, and you have to crack a question. That is the most important thing, not that reading everything and forgetting everything. It is knowing most important things, reading the same thing again and again, revising it, and at the time of exam recalling it is also more important. So finally, if you want to reach me, I have given 3 steps. You can message me, you can join my Facebook group, and you can WhatsApp me. So please, if there is any queries, you can inbox me in the messenger or you can WhatsApp me. So thank you so much.